So I'm going to be talking to you about the conditions of buying and selling, what is halal, haram. There's going to be topics related to this. So it's important that you listen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So what is the role of trade in Islam? So first of all, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a merchant. Since he was a young boy, he went with his uncle Abu Talib to trade in Syria. When he got married to Mother Khadija, before that, he was working for her, and she was impressed by his honesty, his integrity, and the blessing that he brought to her business. So she married him. So the Prophet ﷺ, as per the Arabs, they were well-known traders. They had special market areas. These areas in Arabia were known to have a certain season where everybody from all over the world would come. They would buy and sell. They had journeys in the winter and in the summer. So there's an ayah in Surah Quraysh verse 2 where it says they are getting together for the journey of the winter and the summer. The Prophet ﷺ sometimes used to buy himself, and sometimes he used to delegate others to buy. In the case of buying, there is an authentic hadith where he himself ﷺ once bought the camel of Jabir ibn Abdullah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him. Jabir says, I was in expedition with the Prophet ﷺ, and I had the worst camel on earth. It was the last in the caravan, but it wouldn't work. So the Prophet ﷺ said to me, Jabir, would you sell it? I said, oh Prophet of Allah, take it for free. It's costing me money, take it. He said, no, I will buy it from you. So Jabir said, I will sell it to you. And the Prophet ﷺ hit the camel with his stick, and it became so fast. It was speeding like a Ferrari. It went all the way from the beginning of the army, and it went ahead. And he's trying to slow it down. It had that much energy. When the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina, he sent Bilal, let Jabir come and bring the camel. So Jabir came because we had made a deal. He came to the Prophet ﷺ with the camel. The Prophet ﷺ gave the money, gave him something extra, and he said, do you think I was bargaining with you to keep the camel? The money and the camel is yours. Sometimes the Prophet ﷺ buys himself, and sometimes the Prophet ﷺ delegates, as I mentioned before. So there's some instances where the Prophet delegated trade. So in the hadith of Urwa al-Bariki, who is one of the companions who was a great and keen businessman, the Prophet ﷺ gave him 1 dinar. He told him to buy him a sheep. I will sell it for 1 dinar. So the man took a sheep and gave him 1 dinar. He went to the Prophet ﷺ and said, O Prophet of Allah, you gave me 1 dinar to buy a sheep. Here's the sheep and the dinar. So he was able to make a good business deal. So the Prophet ﷺ said, may Allah put barakah in your transactions. The companions say, and he was the best businessman, if you were to sell soil and dirt, he would make money. And this is the barakah of dua. If you are a good businessman, you cannot do business without dua. You need to make as much dua as possible, that Allah puts barakah in your business and helps your business become successful. Also, the Prophet ﷺ used to order the merchants to be truthful, to be faithful, and to actually give in a lot of charity. Hakim ibn Hizam says that the Prophet ﷺ says that the two parties to a transaction have the option of cancelling it until they part, which means they go their own separate ways. So in fiqh, we call this bayul hir, you and I in a transaction. In Islam, a transaction is not authenticated. It's not written in Islam. In Islam, you as Muslims are bound by the tongue. So it is a transaction like marriage, like any contract where it's bound by the tongue. We have an option of choosing him and I. So for example, you and someone else are in the same area. After 1 hour, I say to him, I changed my mind. I take my card back. The man said, you sold it to me and I bought. No, the Prophet ﷺ says we have the option until we part physically and leave. as long as you're both still in the same room, you can both cancel the transaction. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if they are honest and disclose any defects, the transaction will be blessed. So business honesty is crucial. You need to be able to, if there's an issue with the service you might provide, there might be small deficiencies, you need to bring that up. If you're selling a product, you need to inform the person when you're selling products that there's a rip here or there's something wrong with it. Otherwise, you will not attain the barakah from the transaction. If you lie and you conceal the defects, the blessings will be gone. As a Muslim, you show the defects in the thing you are selling. As the Prophet ﷺ said, you are not a believer until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. The Prophet ﷺ once went out of the masjid and he saw the people buying and selling in the market, and he said, "O merchants, O traders." So they all looked, anticipating what is the Prophet ﷺ going to advise them. So the Prophet ﷺ said to them, the merchants will be raised on the day of judgment as evildoers. All businessmen, all traders, all shopkeepers will be raised on the day of judgment as evildoers, sinners, bad people, except the Prophet ﷺ says, those who fear Allah, sincere and are honest. So this is where I'm going to conclude today's part. Inshallah, I'll catch you in the next video where we'll be going through more ways of how you need to deal with transactions and trades in Islam, the way to do business according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And today I've covered with honesty and integrity, and I've given some examples of when the Prophet ﷺ delegated other people to do trade, as well as he himself when he did trade, the way he dealt with it. So I'll leave you here fi manillah. Wa sallallahu wa baraka ala nabina Muhammad. Astaghfirullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.